Oh, welcome everyone. I'm Emma Davis for veterinarycareers.com.au. I'm so excited to welcome you to Interview the Vet today, and I'm really excited to interview Lianne Mellin, Dr. Lianne Mellin today. Welcome, Lianne.
Thank you. Hello. Nice to be here.
Joining us from a beautiful place in New Zealand. We'll hear more about it. And so just to set us off, we're going to talk careers today. And I am a career coach. I'm a veterinarian and a career coach myself, and one of the founders of the veterinarycareers.com.au website. And so I'm so excited to introduce you to Lianne. Lianne is a 2020 University of Queensland graduate who is currently working in mixed practice in New Zealand. Lianne has a social media presence and an amazing following on Instagram, and started that 3 years ago in vet school at the University of Queensland as a support for herself and for others. And we'll hear more about that as well, because I have been referred to Lianne by the people who love her, who are getting great value out of the content that she provides. And it's great. And so Lianne has interest in camelids, is actually from New Zealand and studied in Australia. And I might throw to you for the rest of that story, Lianne.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to join you. I guess there's a long version and there's a short version of my story. I am from New Zealand, but I have been here since I was 6 years old. I was actually born over in Zimbabwe in Africa. Then moved to New Zealand with my parents and my brother, and basically grew up here. I didn't know that I wanted to be a vet until halfway through my last year of high school, which is my year 13 year. So prior to that, I had been deciding between something to do with science. I thought about potentially vet, potentially a journalist, and potentially a primary school teacher. So during year 13, I was part of a group that organised a sort of sports day with the intermediate school, our neighbouring intermediate school, and I quickly realised that yes, I liked kids, but I didn't like them enough to keep them all day every day. So I crossed that one off my list. I still really like journalism, but I sort of thought that I'd just in this day and age, I kind of felt like maybe there wasn't as many job opportunities with the internet kind of growing and everything. So I sort of put that one on the back burner. And then I thought about doing vet, and my mom had kind of suggested a few other things. I've always been really interested in science and how the body works and everything. And I'd kept my options open at school. So I did chemistry, biology, physics, maths, and English. So I could kind of go wherever I wanted to go, really. And my mom suggested that I could be a midwife. And I said I didn't really want to look up people, or I could be I didn't really want to look down people. So people wasn't really what I wanted to do. And then I've always ridden horses throughout my life as well. I've never owned my own horse, but I've always ridden them. So I guess a lot of people thought like, oh, why don't you be a vet? And I thought about it, and like I love animals, obviously, but I was always nervous that I wouldn't actually be able to deal with cutting into an animal and doing surgery and everything. So my mom organised for me to have a day at the vets that was close to us to watch some surgeries, and I watched them perform some version of an TPLO. I don't think it was a TPLO, but some version of a knee surgery. Yeah. And watched them do a few spays and dentals, and then I shadowed them in consults and all the client communication and everything. And I walked out of that and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be a vet. So that was kind of halfway through year 13 is when I decided. And then I thankfully already had the grades that I needed to get into pre-vet at Mass University in New Zealand. I got them in my year 12 year. And so I went and did pre-vet. And the way that works is you do a semester of university, and then they take the top people from that pre-vet course, and then you move into the veterinary course at Massey. So I did the pre-vet course, and it was a lot. I basically didn't have a life, and unfortunately I missed out. I think I was between 20 and 30 people out of getting into vet school, which was incredibly disappointing. And I think the thing, to me, the rejection, the worst part about it was almost embarrassment, because I'd told so many people what I wanted to do, and then I felt like I'd failed getting in. But I decided that I was not giving up on my dream, that after putting so much effort into it, I was like, nah, this is really what I want to do. I will try again. So the way that it works with Massey is you can only ever apply in sort of July, which meant that I had basically a year until I could next apply. So I did my second semester, and I chose subjects science related. I did plants, and the one that was closely related to vet was biology of mammals, I think, but I also did psychology, and I can't even remember.
Interesting. Yeah, that's
cool. I took some really interesting subjects, and again did not have a life at all. I think I woke up at 6 most days, left for uni, started studying. It was like a 2-hour drive for me to get to uni because of the traffic. If I got there earlier, I would study in the library, but then lectures were from 9 until 5. During my lunch break I would study, and then from 5 until 7 I'd go to the library and study, because otherwise traffic would be shocking. 7 o'clock I'd leave, get home, eat dinner, study again, go to bed, and rinse and repeat kind of thing. So
big effort. Yeah, massive.
Yeah, but it was definitely what I wanted. And then I got my grades up like really high, which I was very chuffed with myself with. I ended up getting on the Dean's list for Massey, which was very exciting. So the next step there was either, because in the meantime I'd found out from UQ, I was like, I might as well see what it's like to try and apply for Australia. And they told me what subjects I needed. The other one was introductory biostatistics, so I did that.
Oh, that's a hard one. I failed that a few times before I got through that one. Oops. Yeah, me and statistics. Ugh.
Yeah, I had a chance for that. I was like, I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
And then basically my grades were at a stage where if I did another semester, I was more likely going to reduce them than keep them at where they were. So I decided to not do another semester of university, but I was going to work and then just apply with those grades.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, so that's kind of my thought if Australia didn't work out. So I had applied for Australia, and then big mess around with that. My stuff got lost in the post twice. My transcript wasn't available by the deadline for the application at UQ, because Massey's results didn't come out until after that. So it was just like a lot of stress. And then they told me, I think like 2 weeks before the offers, they told me that my grades weren't, like, I didn't have the right subjects. And it was because of my maths subject, the statistics. They were like, oh no, this isn't good enough for the prereqs. And I was like, oh, but you told me I just needed to pass this subject. I got an A star in it. So how does that kind of make sense? Anyway, they were like, no, you're out of the running. And I was like, cool. So I then got a job as a vet nurse, and the weekend before I was going to start my job, I found out that I was back in the running for vet at UQ, and then I found out that I got into vet at UQ, which was very exciting. So I had to tell my new boss that, sorry, I couldn't go to work because I was moving to Australia in 2 weeks.
Big news.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a wacky time. But the one thing that's quite nice is I got the acceptance letter to UQ while I was on Waiheke Island, and I remember driving past the vet clinic on the island and being like, oh, imagine if I worked there one day, kind of thing. And now I work in that vet practice.
Oh wow, that's so amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it lovely how it all comes together, like after such a journey around that? Exactly. And we've all got our journeys, so that's why I love having these conversations, because if you delve into everyone's stories, there's such interesting journeys. But yeah, to have those moments of, I might have that one day. And then you're living it.
Exactly. That's it. It's like total full circle, which is quite a cool feeling.
So that's good to say. So then rest is history. You went to Queensland, and what was it like moving, going offshore for study?
it was huge for me. The longest I'd been away from my parents prior to that was 10 days, which was for a sailing adventure on the Spirit of Adventure thing, which was really cool, but beside the point. So for me to move across to Australia was huge because I'm a very homebody. I'm very close with my family kind of thing. But it was so exciting at the same time, especially like, go to Australia, like that's pretty cool. So my mom came with me to help me move in and stuff. And then, it was just the best time of my life. I've made the absolute, like my best friends are over there. I've got 2 best friends in New Zealand who I've like stuck with since. But all of my absolute closest friends are definitely over in Australia now.
Well, that was how I got referred to you with some of the students at UQ. We're like, you've got to talk to Lianne. So obviously got lots of mates and lots of followers and stuff, and quite inspirational for them as well. So, and that's how they wanted me to ask you about, like, you do a lot on social media. And so tell me about that journey for you, and what's your journey in social media, and what's the why behind your social media, and has it changed over time?
Yeah. So I started my social media account in 3rd year, so that was in 2018. And
they'll be trying to work out where you are, so tell them where you are now, so where they can find you, because as they're watching it, if they're anything like me, they'll be Googling madly trying to find you. So you're on Instagram, and how do we find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so my handle is at Your Vet Lianne. So I'm on Instagram, same for Facebook, same for YouTube. I have Twitter, but I don't really use it, but it's same there as well. And then on LinkedIn, it's Lianne Mellin is what I am. But my Instagram actually didn't start as Your Vet Lianne. I've recently changed that once I graduated. Previous to that, it was Vet Med Kid. And yeah, so I started that in 3rd year. Basically because I had been following so many vets on my personal Instagram that I was not seeing any of my friends post anymore. So I thought that I would sort of separate them, which is what I did. And then I kind of realized that I could use that Instagram for my own study. So anything that I learned during the day at uni, I could kind of put it into, summarize it basically into either a post or make it into a quiz on my story or something. So it kind of moved to that. And then it's changed since that 100%. It's more about connecting with people in the industry. I mean, kind of how we found each other, I guess. And then, so it's both connecting with vets, which helps me because I guess, any of my fears, I can see that other people have had the same fears. But then I think because I'm so fresh, like being a new grad, but also throughout the veterinary journey, like I've shared everything, whether it's good or bad. And I really want to be able to sort of help others to realize that how they're feeling is pretty normal and you can still, get through it. And I'm also like, I know I'm not dumb, but I'm not the top of my class. So
me too. We were talking about that.
Yeah, we were. Exactly. So, like I'm a pretty average person, I would say. And I like to just show that you can still do it, even if you're kind of average, And the things that I excel in are definitely communication with clients. And I think I've been able to build on my communication by being part of so many different groups while at university. Like obviously study was important, but it wasn't always my main priority at all those times. It was, you pick up a lot of things from being part of a lot of different groups.
So what were some of the groups that you were part of at uni? What opportunities did you take?
So the veterinary sort of ones that I had, I was on the UQ so the Veterinary Students Association. I was on the exec for that in 4th year, and I was the social and multimedia representative, which is kind of, makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's good. Had the right person for that job. That's good.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And then we had a lot of different special interest groups. So I was a part of a lot of those. I was part of the marine SIG and I can't remember the bacteriology. I can't remember what that one. Oh, the pathology SIG and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
On top of that, I was also in my 2nd year of uni. Well, first year and second year of uni, I was part of the residence club for people that lived on halls. So first year I was the first year rep, and then in second year I was the president of the club. So we ran a lot of different events. I mean, a lot of them were kind of dress up parties, but also mental health sort of events and that kind of stuff, which was really cool, and weekly res sport and that sort of stuff. And then through doing that res club side of things, I was also part of NORC, so the National Australian Association of University Colleges. I think that's the right way around.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I went for 2 years. I went as a delegate. So we learnt all about how to make the halls culture a lot better. And then in my third year, I was part of the committee, so part of actually organising the conference, which involved people from all over Australia. So that was really cool as well. So a lot of different sort of groups that I was part of. Yeah.
That good. And so can you draw on that experience now? Like that's really diverse experience, isn't it? Leading into different opportunities. So were you always like that, or did you kind of coach yourself into that, or how did you get brave to take the opportunities and then juggle that with vet study as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been somebody who gets very involved. I like all throughout school and stuff. I think I did 16 co-curriculars within school and then other stuff outside of school, you know. So I've definitely always been that kind of person. I can definitely draw on the stuff that I learned then. I think just learning to communicate is so helpful when I'm in consults or even with my team, and you learn how to deal with a lot of different types of personalities. And I learned a lot of different things about how people learn as well, so which I find helpful, because if I know that a client is struggling to understand what I'm telling them, I sort of change the way that I educate them, and hopefully that will stick a bit better. And then other things like there was a huge mental health focus with NORC, so I think a lot of that I'm very passionate about positive mental health, so able to bring a few of those things that I learned in that.
Fabulous.
And then great. I guess organisation and that kind of thing, learning that. In terms of how I coped with juggling at vet school, I definitely got better at it. In my second year, it was really quite difficult, and I did have a bit of a breakdown, I guess, and that's when I decided to reevaluate what I was doing and everything, and how I was dealing with it all.
It's in those moments when everything falls down, isn't it, that you build better structures, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's sort of the first time that I decided, like, seeing a counsellor sometimes isn't such a bad idea.
It's a great idea. Yeah. That's me too. Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I think I told like a lot of people, I'd always given them advice to go and see a counsellor, but I never actually realised how scary it is to actually take that advice and go and see somebody. But I did. I went and saw somebody and just got some ideas about how to, I guess, reorganize what I did in the day, so I wasn't so stressed. So I just had like a session or so with her, and that worked out really well. So that's, I guess, how I dealt with it. I changed some things. Yeah.
That's good. I'm like, the people I meet, I'm like, okay, you can coach with me later. I want to like build this. You're coaching people. You coached yourself, and then you educating people out there now. And I just love this content. My daughter and I watch your content. We have a good giggle. There's always dancing and stuff. It's quite exuberant and fun and lots of energy. So how's that journey been to put that side of your fun, energy, and excitement out there? Is there what does it look like behind the scenes? Is it like has it been a journey of becoming more brave in that space, or tell me about that journey of putting yourself out there. For me, I know I couldn't even look at the camera the first time I did a thing. I was doing a live and I was like looking away. I was so shy.
It's pretty uncomfortable. Hey, when I first started my vet Instagram, I got so much stick from all of my friends. Like, they all teased me so much. And they kind of still do, but it's got to the stage where it's a little bit more serious, so they can't really tease me as much, It's quite funny. Sometimes my face comes up as an ad on their face. It was quite weird at first. I mean, I've always got a bit of I don't really get embarrassed too easily sort of personality, so I don't really yeah, it was not so difficult, I guess. But sometimes I look at the stuff I'm doing and I'm like, gosh, I'm so cringy. Like, who the heck?
Fun. It's so different. I love it. Yeah, that's
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, I don't know. Because I also started a YouTube, and I think that one was the sort of the hardest to talk to a camera. Have a normal conversation, but you're just talking to a camera. That was weird. So I've always enjoyed dancing and everything, and making a bit of a fool of myself. As I say, I don't really get embarrassed, but a lot of the like reels and stuff that I make on Instagram now, I definitely sit there and watch other people's reels and then see how I can figure out how to make a veterinary sort of context to it. But a lot of it kind of relates to the stuff that I laugh about while I'm in clinic with my nurses and stuff. Like if there's a catheter that I can't place, and they come and they can place it straight away. And I think that's it. It happens to us all. So you hear, like, even chatting to friends and stuff, and they have similar stories, and it's like, oh, well, that's an idea, because we're all obviously experiencing that sort of thing. So sometimes it is kind of scary to post something and you're like, oh my gosh, who the heck am I? Especially like my brother watches it and he's like, Lianne, what are you doing with your life? But like lovingly,
Yeah. Yeah, I've done the work. I am a vet. I am allowed to now have fun as well. That's right.
Yeah. So, it came with some learning, I guess, but I enjoy it. I think it's fun.
And I think people will be getting great value out of it. So that courage to share those moments of like where you just freeze and you're like, oh, like, this is just me, and your head wants to go, this is just you, but it's all of us. But it's in those moments of like tension, and like we can be quite harsh on ourselves. And I coach veterinarians, and a lot of us are built the same, and we can be our own worst critics internally. And so quickly can be very negative on ourselves if we're not, 100% on all the time. So I think that's really powerful sharing. So being courageous about that, because I would have loved to have had that kind of role model, or just a laugh, someone to connect with on real stuff when I was a grad many years ago. And I was just in my own little head, feeling quite alone. And the more of those moments I had, the more isolated I felt, and the less able I felt to be able to reach out and share that stuff. Like I was internally very critical of myself. So we've obviously got a bit of a mental health crisis in our profession at the minute. So I'm all for it. I think it's amazing and great to be courageous in that space.
Thank you. And I think it can be quite scary. I said the dancing stuff is more like, oh my gosh, I'm cringy. But some of the things, like before I started actually working, I was very nervous. And everybody kept saying to me, oh my gosh, you must be so excited. And I was, but I just was quite scared that I wasn't, quite ready. Had I forgotten everything I'd learned, all those sorts of fears. And I started writing them down and as a diary sort of entry, because it was often at 2 a.m. before I just couldn't fall asleep, and I was like, oh, I just need to write this down and get it out of my head. And that's that kind of thing that once I shared that with other people, they were like, I felt the same way. I was so nervous, and I've since posted about that, because I was like, well, clearly I'm not the only one that felt that way. But I guess I was a little bit, it wasn't so much nerves with the sense that I was going to be sharing it with other people going through the same thing, because I'm all for that. I think a part of me was a bit nervous that maybe clients were going to find it, and then they were going to be like, oh, this girl doesn't actually know how to be a vet. But I don't think, like, those nerves, to me, when I think about it, it's not because I can't be a vet. It's because I care so much that I want to be the best vet that I can be. And so many of us in this industry feel that exact same way, I think.
And that torments a lot of vets too, is because we are trying so hard. And then medicine and the job means that we will fail on occasion. But and then that other people's perspective with, you know, the client's perspective, without actually understanding the journey. And they can be quick to judge or be highly emotional because of their, you know, they're upset obviously that something is happening with their animal and their loved, you know, pet. So it's quite a tense, can be quite a tense interaction, and yeah, quite then put in the A-type personality over the top to, if you're not journaling and doing your mental health stuff, like I'm coaching people with anxiety, they don't know what to do with overnight. And you're exactly right. Journal it, get it out, do something with it. Yeah, but it is, and it's the changing in the professions too, because now with social media, everyone's an expert if they Google. Look at all the new epidemiologists out there at the minute in the COVID space. And so it's kind of an unprecedented time where our profession meets social media at the same time, and the expectations of clients and society are changing as well. I'm getting a bit serious, but I think you're doing a great job there. Anyway, I better get back to you. So, what projects are you looking forward to working on from where you've been now, and then also what change do you reckon needs to happen in the vet profession? Like, what are your vision and your why with the things that you do?
So projects that I'm looking forward to working on, I guess there's a few different companies that have asked me to write a few different blog posts and stuff, which is quite exciting because I feel like that journalism side of me is coming out and I get to do that, which is really exciting. So, and again, those sorts of things are very much my experience. So what I thought about studying at UQ Gatton, or something that I'm actually realizing there needs to be more of is,
yeah, it's all coming together, isn't it? It's lovely. Yeah, I like it.
That's it. But also other things I'm looking forward to sharing more about are like writing CVs and cover letters and what you should be looking for when you're about to sign a contract and that kind of thing, as well as the interview process, because we got some of that information, but I think, I don't know, it's always helpful if somebody who's just gone through it is able to share what they discovered throughout the time that they were doing it. So I guess I kind of want to push out a few more of those sorts of posts on my social media. Then a few other things is I spoke at my high school careers evening recently, and I spoke over at Massey, but I also have contacted a few other high schools in my area because I'd really like to go and speak at their careers evening. So once we're out of lockdown, hopefully that will help. I'll get to do that as well. And then in terms of helping students who are about to be a new grad, I also have this idea that I want to create a few documents about like quick things to think about before a consult. So like for me, if I had like an ear consult, I'd quickly go to my lectures. This is when I first started, and try and figure out what I needed to be asking, what I needed to be doing as the vet. So I sort of want to make like a quick flow chart thing for, I don't know, ears, eyes, vomiting, diarrhea, you know, those sorts of things, just so somebody can skim over them really quickly. And if they need to go look up any more information, they can go do that from their lecture notes, but just something so that they don't feel so lost when they first walk into a consult. That's what I'd like to create. So
idea, yeah. And it's that gap, isn't it, in that moment of like, oh, that's new, and then to fill that space with like, think simple first. This is that was how I always had to like kind of, whenever I got a consult that I hadn't done recently, I'd be like, and then I'd have to like, okay, take a breath and pack, you know, put some basics into your head first, stick with the basics. And yeah, oh, that'd be really useful. Sounds good.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Because the whole why behind my Instagram is because I want to help others and make it less daunting, really. So that's probably the big why at this stage. And then the thing for the industry, I think, the whole mental health of it really needs a lot of help. If I could wave a magic wand, I would somehow get great mental health preventatives, like, I don't know, just structures in place at each workplace so that everybody is well.
Mentors or something, or coaches or mentors or something. Yeah.
So I think my workplace is doing a really great job because I mean, I asked for a mentor and they gave me one, but the things that I walked into before I had even started working there is we have huddles every morning and afternoon, so at 11 a.m. and at 3 p.m. or just before or between, whatever, where we go through with everybody involved what's in hospital, what's the plan for the day, but especially in the morning we go around in a circle and we say what number we're feeling out of 10 for that day.
Right.
We're not allowed to choose 7 because it's the kind of, just average number.
The average one.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm a 7. Don't talk to me. That's fine. Nothing to fix. Nothing to see here. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
And if we want, we can explain why we're feeling that way. But it's more just a way to know, like, oh, okay, this person's feeling a 9 out of 10. They're going to be all good today, but somebody else may be feeling a 4 out of 10. We just know that we have to, every Tuesday we have a whole team meeting. So there's a lot of good communication, and we have a WhatsApp group. So before the week starts, we have to each say what our big win and our big learn of the previous week.
Oh, I like it. That's like they're coaching their team. That's great. I love it. Yeah. What a good environment.
As well as intention for that week coming.
So yeah, great.
They've got some really good structures.
Yeah, I love it.
Great if other vet places could have something similar to really help them. Yeah. And then I guess the other side of it is blaming clients for the way that we feel. And to a certain extent, I agree, some clients can make us feel really upset. I think there's so much of it where in the industry itself, we need to make our own changes, but we also need to educate clients instead of getting all upset about the way that they treat us for something costing the way it does, or something like that. I think we need to put out more information to people so that they understand the processes, because a lot of it we see it as second nature, like, oh, that's obvious, but that's because we deal with the same thing every day and we just understand that. But like, I mean, even when I come home and I talk to my parents and I tell them something that I think is so obvious, they're like, oh, so why did it happen like that? And it makes me realize that it's actually not that obvious, and that's where the education needs to come in, which is difficult because it does add more stress and pressure to us to sort of put out this information. I mean, along with being vets, we also have to be social media gurus and that kind of thing, I think sometimes.
Well, there's opportunities, isn't there? There's a lot of opportunities in that. Like to think, like, I think you've hit the nail on the head that would really help in those relationships moving forward. And and also I actually coach people that people can't make you feel anything. It's how you respond that creates emotion in you. So like they might be difficult, and their clients might be having a really difficult day and have some terrible behavior. But we can train ourselves how not to get impacted very much by that, and put some boundaries up, I think, around saying, I'm not going to take that behavior, but I connect with you over your concern and stuff, and that would really help to have people more educated around the basics of it all. So, I'm really excited about this. I can't wait to see what you're going to do next. This is great. I love that you're on team. This is great.
Exactly. We'll see. I mean, I also get, like, you can put out this education and stuff, and it's not necessarily going to reach everybody. And it's, some people are going to read it and just not think anything about it anyway. Like, I saw recently, I think 7 News did that piece about Sophie, who unfortunately recently committed suicide, which is incredibly heartbreaking. And then what they were saying in that news piece was that it was a horrible client who pushed her over the edge. And then I read the comments, and there were so many people commenting such mean stuff about vets, and I was just like, how can you say that after that's literally, caused her to feel like she needed to get out of it?
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Oh, how horrible. Yeah.
Like, this, you can put out the education and you can try, but I think we just need to be aware that we can't reach everybody. So that's when we need to put in our own steps, like you say, where we can connect with somebody with how they feel, but not actually take it on to ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Oh, I could talk to you forever. This is good. We'll have to do some more work together. This is really good.
Yeah.
So we better wrap up. So last question. So what advice would you give a younger you?
Yeah. I think I would tell myself to do everything that I can do and kind of basically do it the way I did it, in the sense that study is important. Definitely make sure you're at least passing, but you can get so much out of joining other committees and doing other things. So don't be afraid to go out and enjoy life at the same time as the vet school degree, really. And then also in the future when you're working as a vet.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. I'm so proud of you, actually. I'm a bit of a mum coach here. I'm proud of you, doing a great job. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your journey with us. We've learnt heaps, Lianne, and that will, I'm sure, really inspire and help lots of vet students and vets. And so where can people find you to reach out to you, and maybe they've got some future opportunities they'd like to work with you or get you to speak and stuff like that, or what's the best to find you?
That'd be cool. Yeah, so Instagram is definitely the best in terms of sending me a direct message. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I also have an email address which you can find on the Instagram thingy, or else it's just yourvetlianne@gmail.com.
And we'll pop it up in the right up on this as well, so people can find you as well. And we'll link your LinkedIn as well, so they can find you. So that's great. So thank you so much. So I'll just finish this off for today. So that's been Dr. Lianne Mellin, doing amazing things as a new graduate veterinarian and inspirational young person leader around mental health, and just getting some beautiful positive energy out there into our beautiful profession, picking everyone up and educating as she goes. So I just this has been Interview the Vet with veterinarycareers.com.au, and thank you, Lianne, and I look forward to our next interview.
Yay, thank you so much.
Bye.